Anyways, talking about preaching, there's a clip I want to play right away and just get your thoughts or reactions to. Have a conversation about what part does humor have to play in a sermon. We can play this clip.
Yeah, I just want to say it was a beautiful service, but you and I both know you wouldn't have gotten those laughs if you weren't a pastor.
I'm sorry?
Oh, it's no big deal. I don't care. I'm just saying you're not actually funny, so don't feel proud about today.
People grieve in their own ways, son.
No.
I just want to say a beautiful service.
Thank you.
I hope you don't think you're deserving those laughs.
No, I just told him. I just told him. I just gave him a heads
it's
up.
the worst kind of hack.
Yeah, beautiful service,
but
though.
beautiful.
Thank you again, gentlemen. My condolences.
For sure.
Okay, yeah, sure.
My condolences. Okay,
for a funeral.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I just think that acting is hilarious. I love how at the end he's like, "Oh no, I already told him.
No, I got it covered. I bring it up because a lot of people will tell me after I preach, like, "Oh, it was very funny," and then I tell them, "Well, that's the goal for me to be a comedian. That's really the goal. That's the ultimate goal." And obviously, I'm joking. That's not the goal. But I do think there's something amazing about. There's truth to that video that pastors do get laughs when really it's not that funny. Like it's not. It's not really. It wouldn't land in any other scenario. But it's like I don't know if it's the weekend sermon is cheesy stuff. Just you get cheap laughs. But I do think there is power in humor in a message. But I didn't know if you have any thoughts to.
Well, I mean, I just think the clip is funny because as a pastor, you're going, are people are they only laughing because I'm a pastor? And again, I think it's true, but I think in an environment where you're prepared to receive, you're also prepared to laugh, you're prepared to cry, you're prepared to do a lot of things. And so when you're like, if you go to a comedy show, you're prepared to laugh. If you go to a sermon, you're prepared to receive, and part of that's humor, part of that's going to be, in a lot of ways, like the role of humor, and comedians do this as well. They use humor to kind of get a point across.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the same is true in preaching. Is if your whole message is to make people laugh, then you're not
failing.
You're failing. You're not doing it right. But if you use humor to be relatable, to tear down people's walls, to make them feel authentic, maybe open up, and then realize, hey, in that humor, there's things we can laugh about, but there's also there's truth that we need to develop. And I think that should be the goal of humor in a sermon, is to disarm people, not to be the goal, but to be one of the ways that you can do that. And again, humor is one of those ways, but I also, like, there's people that speak that are not funny at all that can give a great message that gets across as well. So I think it's one of the tools in the tool belt of communicating.
Yeah, I'm the biggest fan of finding your authentic voice and communicating out of a confidence and a security that this is who I am. I'm not trying to be somebody else. I'm definitely not trying to be a comedian as a pastor. And I feel like my authentic voice and what I love in receiving from a communicator as well, not just what I deliver, but in receiving, I love the full spectrum of emotion. It's like, I love loud, I love quiet, I love that dynamic shift and change. I think one of my favorite things in receiving from a communicator is when I'm laughing, like, dude, that is so funny, but the way that ties into a spiritual truth to what you're saying, the roller coaster ride of laughing and then going, whoa, that's true. Like that, wow, that I'm going to remember that. I love the ride. I really feel like learning and hearing from a communicator is like, it is like a roller coaster ride. And some people's authentic voice or style or way they best receive is like, hey, it doesn't have to be monotone, but just it's got to be less dynamic. Like, let's keep it a little bit more even keel. And I think there's space for all of that. But I saw that clip and I was like, I always have to tell people when they're like, that was funny this weekend. It's like, hey, praise God. And that's not the goal. The goal is not to just be funny, but it's also I'm coming first and foremost to try to preach the truth.
But I think that our culture has shifted a good amount with cancel culture in the last year, 2 years,
Yeah.
to where there was a season, pre-COVID, leaning into COVID, where it was if any comedian says anything offensive, if you got to
yeah.
apologize, you have to be mad. And I think it was an overcorrection. Truly, there are things that you can say that are poor form, that didn't land very well, that you might need to apologize for. Hey, I didn't mean it like that. But most people go, oh yeah, you missed that one, and it's okay. But there was this season where it was, we're trying to literally cancel you, like everything you've ever done, every movie you've ever been in, everything. We're gonna boycott you because of one thing that you said that was maybe a little bit misconstrued, or it just didn't land, and there was no freedom to apologize. And the hard part is then you apologize to the mob, and then it doesn't help.
Yeah.
All it does is it makes the people who actually were standing with you, they get mad. And so it's like, don't apologize for things that you shouldn't apologize for. But I do think we're seeing that the swing back, and I hope it doesn't swing too far to where it's like, okay, now people are
it's
just
crude.
Yeah, but I do think there is that middle ground to sometimes being offended is not wrong.
Yeah.
You're offended because it's true. Like somebody that makes a joke about someone who's very unhealthy. Is that poor form? Maybe. But there also is truth to that. If someone made a joke about your spiritual health, I was talking to a friend of mine who was sitting next to me on a plane. We went to high school together, and we just so happened to be sitting next to each other on a flight. And he shared something about his beliefs. Said he was a Christian, and he was sharing a lot of things that were not Christian things that he was totally for. And I said, so it doesn't sound like you actually believe anything that the Bible says. You just say you're a Christian. Well, I was saying that kind of as a joke, and he kind of laughed, and yeah, well, I am kind of struggling with that. But there's truth in that.
Yeah.
But I said it in a humorous way versus saying, you're not a real Christian. I was like, it kind of sounds like there's some disagreements there. Those things are real and true. And I think the difference between humor, and I'm getting long here, but the difference between humor that's meant to help us laugh and kind of come up, point out something versus something that's meant to attack somebody else.
Yeah.
As Christians, we should not use humor to just point a finger and attack. And in the name of humor, I'm making fun of somebody just to make them the butt of the joke, and it hurts, versus actually using humor as a tool to disarm something that might otherwise be more difficult.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I definitely lean into humor, and it's probably a coping mechanism for me as well. Minnesotans always get blamed for being passive aggressive. I think there is actually room for passive aggressive kind of humor, like you're kind of making a statement without making a statement. I think there is room for that. If it's not first out of insecurity or fear, like I actually can't say what I really mean, and so I just have to give like hints, and I'm nervous, and it's like no, we should be more secure in ourselves and our communication to be able to be direct. But if you're weighing out the like you're not a real Christian, like you're gonna burn in hell, it's like all this. Well, we don't need that. But if it's like a light comment, it's like to challenge a person. Like I personally am for that.
This morning, Connor, my brother, he came to my office, and we do this all the time, but he said, oh, wow, so 8 minutes late to work today, huh? And
I love that.
And I got stuck behind a train.
Actually, I want to tell a joke that your brother told the other day that I think he'd be comfortable with me sharing, but finish your story.
No, I was on our route. I don't know if you take the same route, but there's train tracks. And right as I'm pulling up, the gate arm kind of goes down, and it delayed me from getting to work on time. And so anytime, Connor walks in late or I walk in late, he'll be like, oh, wow, extra 2 minutes. Are we staying 2 minutes late today?
Dude, I especially when it's brother to brother, like jabs or whatever.
We're just casual. I feel like my parents and I, we joke all the time with my mom, just like because she's so like not perfect, but she just kind of appears this like, oh, she's so perfect. And so anytime she'll say something, we'll joke and be like, man, mom was just swearing at me and so mad, and it's like I've never heard her say a swear word in my life.
She's the opposite of that.
Literally the opposite. But it's just anytime we're like, mom, have you been struggling with swearing a lot recently? Because if she'll say like, that's dumb, we're like, whoa, easy.
Whoa, dude. See, I love the conversation because I think there is a question out there like, can Christians joke? Can Christians have fun? Did Jesus make jokes like that? to Jesus. And that's one of the coolest things I think about The Chosen TV show, is they put Jesus in the light of he's fully God, but they really put him in the light of like he's also fully man, and he makes jokes, and there's this humor and this jabbing of the disciples, that it just makes Jesus come alive even more. And so I love the conversation because Christians can have fun too.